Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Tuesday, March the 25th, 2025. I'm Graham Hughes. What the fuck is going on? Oh my God. Welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. Wow. Just straight out the gate. Just wow. You have got to be kidding me. That's what Hillary Clinton posted about all this, and I'm going to be, talking about this a little bit today. For once, I'm actually a little bit kind of like lost for words of just the sheer, absolute 100% incompetence on show by the people we know are the most incompetent people to ever incompetent. Like, this is off the charts. Oh, straight in there. But first of all, before we get into what we're talking about, before we get into the meat, I'm just going to say a big hi to Leap Shin and Reagan Elite and Pete's Music. Thank you very much, Reagan Elite, for doing the modding. We got Scott in the chat there. We got Veg Pie as well. Hey, Veg Pie, how you doing? If you'd like to join our friends in the chat here, all you need to do is hit that lovely, juicy subscribe button under this video, and you can join the live chat as it's happening. It's very exciting. Or even better, if you want to join the channel, you'll get a little rose. See Scott and Jane Lockwood and Liz Allen and Katrina Tam have got a little rose after their name. If you want one of those roses, all you need to do is hit that join button, if it exists, and join the channel. Right, let's get into it. So, the Trump administration just leaked classified military strike details in a bloody Signal chat group with a journalist that they accidentally added to the group. If it was you or me or Hillary Clinton, we'd be locked up. No bail, no excuses, military tribunal, courts martial. You'll be in jail, that would be it. But these people, emojis, high fives, denials. This isn't just a scandal as well. I'll get into this later, but they put real US troops in real fucking danger here. Oh my God. Oh my Gideon. So what happened was, on the 11th of March, journalist Jeffrey Goldberg, who's the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, which is very good website actually, was added to a Signal chat called Houthi PC Small Group. The chat included accounts linked to National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, the Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, and other top-level officials of the Trump White House. They discuss targets, weapons packages, and timings for US military strikes against the Houthis in Yemen. Oh wow. One Angry Pagan, thank you very much for the £2 super chat, the first super chat of the morning. Hopefully not the last, but thank you so much. Oh, that's the subscribe button. Super chat. Press the like button, Graham. Blessed Times Day, dear Badger Clan. Tuesday. Oh, sorry, I read that as times. I turned the W upside down in my head. Look at that. I'm not quite with it this morning, as you might be able to, bit overwhelmed by the stupid. It burns me. It makes my skin itch. I can't believe I have to share a fucking planet with people who are this thick. And not only are they not, locked away for their own good, like in the good old days that they want to go back to. No, they're not locked away in an idiot sanatorium or something. That doesn't happen anymore. They're allowed to run the most richest and most powerful country in the world. Fuck. Anyway, so just madness. So this was 4 days before the actual strike. Do you imagine? Do you remember Airplane? Of course you do. It's one of the greatest films ever made. There's a flashback scene where they're taking the piss out of From Here to Eternity, and Lorraine and Stryker are on the beach rolling around in the seaweed, and she says, he says, "Oh, I'm shipping out. I got my orders. We're coming in low. at 6 a.m. over Drambuie, and we're going to be dropping these. And we're going to be keeping under the radar. And she says, "Oh, when will you be back?" She says, "I can't tell you that. It's classified." Like, this is real life. This is not a comedy. This is actually freaking happening. It's happening. Oh my God. Unsecure communications. Like, Signal is end-to-end encrypted, yeah, but it's not a secure government network. It's not the SCIF. It's not Department of Defense approved. The messages were sent to auto-delete, which is a violation, a clear violation of the Presidential Records Act and the Federal Records Act. And then you've got the operational details, this real-time targeting info shared over an app that is usually used for memes and group chats. To set up going out bowling with your mates or going the footy. This wasn't a leak, okay? You gotta understand, this wasn't just a leak. This was a live streamed security failure. They used a completely unsecured means of communication amongst the top level of the Trump cabinet. This screaming monkey clown car on fire going off a cliff. That is the Trump fucking White House. And they used Signal. Imagine if Goldberg wasn't a respected journalist. Imagine if it had been a hostile actor. Imagine or a compromised account. Imagine if it had been someone who was linked to the Houthis and could tell them, "Oh, America's planning an attack." Probably. They would have been prepared. They would have been standing on top of the buildings with rocket launchers, ready to take out any enemy aircraft that flew overhead. They would have evacuated the buildings. 57 people died, by the way. Seriously, like 57 people, and they were all high-fiving each other. Yeah, we murdered people. And J.D. Vance was having a whinge. About the fact that he felt we were protecting Europe. By doing this, we were helping Europe. And America's not supposed to help Europe because he hates Europe. J.D. Vance hates Europe with a fucking vengeance. He hates Europe just as much as that gobshite Nigel Farage hates Europe. Do you know why? Because they're not Europeans. They're fucking Russian agents. They work for Moscow, okay? They don't work for you. They don't work for me. They don't work for Europe. They don't work for America. They work for fucking Moscow. And the sooner that people put the fucking 2 and 2 together, Trump works for Moscow. Hegseth works for Moscow. All those other Trump appointees from Fox News, they all work for Russia now, okay? America, when you're paying your tax dollars, they're paying into the Russian war machine. But there you go. Really fucking mad. Leapshin, Graham offers ADHD meds, lol. Well, I don't have any meds for ADHD. And actually, that's probably quite offensive, but whatever. Anyway, moving on. So yes, this isn't just like, fun emojis about missile strikes. This is how empires fall. Like, they have put the stupidest and most incompetent people in charge of this country. And this, America, I'm always quite resistant to the idea of a revolution because they never seem to go particularly well. You had the French Revolution, 10 years later, you had fucking Napoleon Bonaparte going around killing millions of people. You had the Russian Revolution, 10 years later, you had Stalin running around killing millions of people. Revolutions don't always work out like you want them to. Although, sometimes you get the Velvet Revolution, like you had in the Czech Republic, in Czechia. Czechoslovakia as it was then. And, we've had the Purple Revolution. We've had the Glorious Revolution of what was it, 1688? Someone look that up. Glorious Revolution, please. Someone look that up the date. I think it's 1688, but I might be wrong. I've been wrong before. It was incredibly painful, and I don't want to be wrong again. I guess there were some kinds of revolutions where things, people, not too many people die. But the idea of a revolution, say in this country, I'm like, well, what are you going to replace it with? And what if someone takes advantage of the ensuing, lack of knowledge of what's going to happen next, the chaos. Someone takes advantage of the chaos. What if that happens? And then you've got but then I look at America, okay, and their system is so fucked. We've talked about this on the channel before, but just take a step back for a moment. In the UK, we have head of state, which is the king. or the Queen until she died. And then we've got the head of government, that is Keir Starmer. And then we have a separate entity, which is the Parliament, which is, part of the government, and they have to account to Parliament for everything they want to do. And if they break the rules, they can be deselected as MPs. It's also linked to the House of Lords, which I think is a bad idea, but whatever. So we've got these mechanisms in place. We've got the judiciary, we've got the executive, and we've got the legislature, and then we've got the head of state, which is separate from all of them, really. And it's technically part of the executive, but really, realistically, it's not. And that's not the best system, I don't think. It could be better. We could tinker around the edges. We could bring in, proportional representation and things like that. But I like the fact that the head of state and the head of the government and the head of the army and the head of the FBI, the CIA, the Coast Guard, National fucking, what are they called? Homeland Security, the National Park Service, the Department of Education. I like the fact that the head of all those things is different people. It's not just one person who has the power to go, yeah, I'm going to get rid of this thing. Department of Education, who needs that? Who needs educating, eh? You should all be born to very rich parents who can afford to pay for your education. Top dollar. Yes. Apparently when I get excited, me hat flaps about. So there'll be lots of hat flapping today. Lots of hat flapping this morning for you. But and then you've got this incredible situation where in the UK, the Prime Minister has to select a committee, a cabinet of various members of Parliament and or Lords. So if you are a member of the House of Lords, you can sit in cabinet, as David Cameron did, even though he wasn't an MP. He was elevated to be the Prince of Trotters or something, or the Lord of Pigs, and as a result, he could sit in cabinet, which is a bit of a dicey rule. But usually speaking, most people in the government in cabinet are not just friends of the Prime Minister. It's actual MPs that we can get rid of if we want to, by and large. I know there's a few exceptions. In America, it is purely 100% without anyone dissenting, mates of the president. And if the president has also taken the House of Representatives and the Senate, all the people that they want to get in will get in, because it's just a simple majority to agree to them getting in. Wowzers trousers. How is that? So basically, if you can imagine, I'm sure you went to school with some knobheads, and maybe some of those knobheads you went to school with. I didn't, by the way. Everyone I went to school with was awesome, pretty much. But yeah, imagine that knobhead is still hanging out with knobheads from school, right? And it's now 30 years later, and they take over a company. One of them from the knobhead group takes over and gets all their knobhead mates, none of whom are qualified to do that role, to work for that company. They become the board on the company. Do you think that company's going to last? Do you think that's going to happen? What a stupid system. What a maddeningly stupid system. I'm sorry, but yeah, revolution. Do it. You've got to change the whole system. Get rid of your president. Don't have presidents. No more kings. That was the thing, right? What, America? Yeah. No more kings. Do you remember saying that? Probably don't. Now you're talking about rejoining the fucking Commonwealth. You'll be back. Said George III. Anyway, we've got another super chat. Thank you very much for Angry Pagan again. Woo! Too often the evil get away with it due to apathy. Well, I'm not apathetic. One angry pagan. It's, Jesus Christ. So look, why is this so dangerous? Why is this such a big deal? First of all, this is a national security risk for America, but also NATO, also the West entirely. Operational security was catastrophically breached. It could have been tipped off to hostile actors, the Houthis in Yemen, Iran, who were funding the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, Russia, China, and there were lives at stake. Lives at stake, not just the people who are getting bloody bombed, but you got the US troops, special forces, drone operators, intelligence assets in the theatre of operations. And then, you or I, like I say, court-martial. dishonorable discharge, jail time. The Espionage Act violations here are legion. Even mishandling classified info can lead to decades in prison for you or I. But we have a two-tier justice system, just not the one that Farage thinks exists. Hillary Clinton was pilloried over using a private server, which her predecessor, Colin Powell, also used a private server as well, because the internet was quite new at the time. Emails were quite new. And there was nothing in there. They went through all the messages, and none of them discussed national security to this level, you know? It was all boring. She's a Boy Scout, or Girl Scout, I guess. She's a Girl Scout. Like, it was all about meetings and going for coffee and stuff. It wasn't anything like this. You know, Trump's team leaked war plans on a group chat and are now playing the victim. Pete Hegseth was interviewed coming off a plane yesterday, and he just had a go at the journalist for the Atlantic, saying that Jeffrey Goldberg, saying that he was a terrible journalist and he believed in the Russia hoax and he believed in this and he was talking about all the stuff that was true actually. But he came out saying, no, you can't trust this journalist. And then the White House said, no, it's real. Jesus Christ. Just ask any military veteran what would happen to them if they shared this kind of info on Signal. God, if you got any mates or friends, family, whatever, who've ever served, I mean, just ask them what would have happened. They wouldn't just lose their job. They'd lose their freedom. They endangered lives. This isn't just incompetence. This is criminal negligence. Lock them up. That's what people should be screaming from the rooftops. If you're in the military and you've ever been briefed on operational security, or OPSEC as they call it, you know this would have landed you for a long period custodial sentence for this. It gets hammered into you. But this American system, who's in charge of the military in America, who's the commander-in-chief of the Air Force, the Navy SEALs, the Navy, the Army, who's in charge? Who's the commander-in-chief? The fucking president. The president, a civilian who's never served in the army or combat or whatever. But here's the thing. Pete Hegseth has. He has. And all these fuckwits have signed documents for the Official Secrets Act, or whatever the equivalent is in America, which states that they can't do shit like this and get away with it. But they will. They fucking will. And we're going to get onto that in a moment. Lock her up, they said, about Hillary. They chanted it for years. Trump himself was indicted in 2023 over his mishandling of classified information, where he stole documents from the fucking White House in a heist, stored them in a bathroom in Mar-a-Lago and showed them to anyone who wants to fucking see them, who paid him a bit of money. Live, real-time leaks of classified military operation. And Chuck Schumer is calling for an inquiry? He's calling for an inquiry? Fuck off, Chuck. Get fucked, Chuck. Get to fuck, Chuck. Like, seriously? Are you kidding me? No. Lock them up. They're the 3 words you need. Nice, simple 3-word slogan. I know that the right love them. The left can also utilize the love of that. Lock them up. Scream it from every fucking tannoy in the land. Lock them up. Jesus Christ. And if anyone comes back and you go, well, look, you said that about Hillary Clinton. This is 100 times worse than what she did. They signed a document, official secrets, to say that they will not do this kind of shit. And, you know, this is thing, you know, this deserves prison time. They wanted Hillary jailed for her fucking emails. But, you know, this actual fucking war plans 4 days in advance. Imagine the Nazis have got hold of the fucking D-Day plans 4 days in advance of fucking D-Day. What would have happened? It would have been a massacre, and we'd all be speaking German by now. I mean, meanwhile, no outrage from Fox, no MAGA fury, just silence. Pure, beautiful silence from the right. And the left, to be honest with you. Jesus Christ. They're kicking up a stink. I mean, how many fucking open goals do these knobheads want to be given? And they go, oh, look at the ball. Oh, what is it? It's a ball. Oh, we'll have to have an inquiry over whether it's a ball or not before I bother kicking it. Fuck this. This reminds me so much of the previous Labour lot before they got in. The previous Labour leadership. Kick the ball in the goal. Kick it in the. It's there. Look, all the team. The entire other team have fainted. The goalie has spontaneously combusted. Just kick it in that fucking goal. Is it safe? Is it safe to kick it in the goal? I mean, really? I mean, I know it's waiting there, and I know that there's only a couple of seconds left of the match, and it would mean we won the match. But we need to really think about this. Let's sit down and just decompress. Fuck off. Go for it. When they go low, fucking kick them. Keep kicking them till they stop moving. That's an allegory, obviously. Don't mean to actually, cause them physical injury. But here's the thing. We are an ally of the USA. We are part of NATO. We are part of the Five Eyes fucking information fucking ring, right? That's us. That's Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the US. Can we share intel with them? Can the US be trusted with sharing intel about our agents? We already know that they've handed data over to the fucking Russians. They've stopped going after Russian oligarchs and freezing their assets. They've allowed Russians into the country. They've allowed Russians to actually hack into American servers because there was a law there that they took away and said, well, if it's Russia doing it, I suppose, no foul. And then, the enemies are watching this. How easy is it to fucking breach the White House? Really fucking easy. If America's enemies know the inner circle is this sloppy, it emboldens absolutely everyone. And with, Starmer sort of falling over himself a little bit to appear to appease Trump. We need to be standing up against these knobheads and screaming at them. What the fuck do you think you're doing? What are you doing? This isn't just a US story, We're tying our defense and our intelligence to this White House. We better think again, because this is national suicide by app notification. This could be the end of us all. Honestly, I know that sounds like hyperbolic, but I don't give a fuck. Seriously. We need criminal investigations into Mike Waltz and Pete Hegseth and J.D. Vance and John Ratcliffe and Steve Witkoff. Everyone else on that chat. They need to be arrested. They should be fucking arrested. Not impeached, arrested. Immediate resignations should be demanded or suspensions while these investigations go on. I think they should be fucking locked up. I think they should be put in fucking irons and thrown in a fucking dungeon somewhere. Military tribunal. This is not just oversight, but with subpoena. We don't just need congressional hearings, not just to sort of, discuss it, but with actual legal consequences. And we need accountability, from the media. Where's the media demanding accountability? Where is it? Where's it happening? There's no soft soap in this. If you did this in the military, you could be put to death. That's how serious it is. If they found out that you were sharing classified top-level military information on a fucking Signal server or WhatsApp or fucking Facebook, you could face the death penalty in America. Understand that, okay? Just whoa. And they won't get anything. Nothing's going to happen. And the fucking Democrats will fucking sit there chuckling the balls of the fucking Republicans. Oh, no, don't hit me. Don't hit me. Don't look at me. Oh, they made eye contact. They're coming over. Fucking grow a spine, Dems. Grow a fucking spine. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a blunder. It was a betrayal of trust. It was a violation of the law and a clear and present danger to the lives of Americans and people in NATO countries around the world. And if they don't pay the price, if there are no consequences to this, then no one in America is safe and no one in power is accountable. And we must not let that stand. It is just mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing that this has happened. And yet it has. And yet the Dems are all but fucking silent. Oh, well, says Hillary Clinton. You gotta be kidding me. Now, call for them to be locked up. Or worse, they should face the sentence that anyone else would face in this same situation. They should face the sentence that you or I would face in this situation. Don't forget, people were locked up for leaking information about old operations. So Edward Snowden left the country. There was Chelsea Manning, who released information to WikiLeaks and other data collection things. But that was about things that had happened 5-6 years ago. But it also included sensitive material in there, like the names of people involved in operations and stuff like that. And then WikiLeaks was supposed to retract a lot of this, but actually didn't. It's almost as though they were maybe being paid by the Russians in some way. But the US government is still going after Julian Assange. I've got no love for the guy. I feel like he helped Trump win in 2016. It was interesting that they went after Hillary Clinton, but didn't go after Trump with any of the same sort of gusto. And it's all right. If people have committed crimes on either side, yes, I want it exposed. But when it becomes really one-sided, you're like, well, what's the reason for doing this? Is this because you want the truth out there, or is this because you want certain truths out there and to make the other person who goes around bragging about sexually assaulting women seem less bad? But this is what happens when you put a rapist in charge of a nation. Someone who does not respect women, someone who does not respect anyone, someone who's drowning in narcissistic personality syndrome. And America is in a very, very toxic relationship with him. And yes, you can tell me that there's protests going on, but as we discussed yesterday, protest? Really? Call that a protest? 22,000 people turn up to a fucking AOC rally. Well done, AOC. I mean, I like her, and that's good innings for one person. Where's the rest of them? Where are they? What are they doing? Serbia had 6.6, a country of 6.6 million people, had 325,000 people on the streets. That's 5% of the population. 5% of the population protesting against the government in Belgrade, in Serbia. The other day. In America, I mean, the equivalent in America, that'd be 16 million. 16 million people on the streets. But it's a big country. We don't have the public transportation. Oh, you can get to the fucking supermarket, can't you? You don't have to all be in the same place. You could have like 1 million people in each state. That'd be good. I follow. It should be 22 million, says Danny. Yes, absolutely. Purity says we allowed Spafford to Piffle Johnson to suppress the report into Russian interference, and it's worked so well. It's the norm now. Yeah. That was actually said by one of the absolute fucking clangers who stood up yesterday during the parliamentary debate on rejoining the EU. This was like a side motion debate, so I don't think it's going to go much further. But there were at least 3 people in the room at certain times. There was a couple of DUP wankers and there was a Tory wanker who stood up and actually had the audacity to say about how people said that the Russians were involved. Yeah, we didn't investigate whether the Russians were involved. We found out they were involved and they interfered in the Scottish referendum 2 years earlier. But, we didn't even look. We didn't even look into that interference in the Brexit referendum, or frauderendum, as I like to call it. And he's like, who said the Russians were doing it? Russophobia. Fucking hell, I hate the Tories. I hate the Republicans. And to be honest, at the moment, apart from AOC, Bernie Sanders, who's probably technically an independent, fucking hate the Democrats right now. Oh my God. Fight. Just fucking get off the fucking ground and fight. Jesus, this is embarrassing. It's like watching a bad comedian fucking die on stage. Only it's the world fucking stage. Get up. Get the fuck up and fight back, Democrats. No, we get these fucking emails off him, asking for $5. Can you give us $5 to fight Donald Trump? No, tell you what, you fight Donald Trump, and if you think you've done a good job, we'll give you $5. How about that, eh, knobheads? Fucking hell. Sorry, swearing a lot today, but there you go. That's my piece, and I'm sticking with it. What are you pagan? This is social, cultural paradigm shift, the likes of which maybe will happen maybe once or twice a century. Joanna says they probably didn't want to use official channels as those are archived. Well, yes, exactly. The Ministry of Truth has come into reality, so that's happy enough. Jess says, I know it seems serious and potentially an act of unfathomable incompetence that could lead to the death of soldiers, but the more important thing is the Trump feels bad about an accurate portrait. Don't worry, he's been given another one by his mates. Putin had a painting of him commissioned that was sent to Trump. I follow the teachings of King in Platoon. The rich have always screwed the poor. They always have and always will. We just got to make it out of here, and the rest is gravy. Anne says the Tates escaped to the US, looked around, decided to take their chance with a Romanian jail instead. First smart thing they ever did. Yeah, arguable. They're also using their private cell phones that can easily be hacked. Pegasus, yeah. Where's Edward Snowden when you need him? Yes, indeed. Says SW. A Trump regime feels like a hostage situation. It absolutely does. No, I'm not having a dig at Mikey. I'm just saying, like, that there needs to be more protests in America. Don't make excuses. Just go, yeah, there needs to be more. There needs to be more protests in America. Stockholm Syndrome says, yeah, but Trump's popularity is still dead high. It's still really fucking high. It's still in the 46% I saw last time. 46 fucking percent. Even though he's doing all this shit. And meanwhile, the Democrats are down to 27% approval. 27% approve of what the Dems are doing. It's like fucking no one. Yeah, the diehard, dyed in the wool Dems. That's it. Everyone else is like, what are you doing? Oh, nothing. Okay, I'm pissed off about that. Scott says, hi. Sounds great, Witchy. It's good for you. Sorry, what happened, Witchy? Tell me. Hi, Graham. So Sarah. Hi, Sarah. How you doing? Morning, Martin. This is a horror show, grass cutting, hay fever victim. Oh, God, hay fever is not fun. My partner suffers from hay fever, and it is a pain, a right old pain in the ass. Paul says, by right, they should be screaming about this, but have no faith in the Dems. But I have no faith in the Dems, yeah. They should be. Conspiracy says it's of the bin liners. It's appalling, especially when money from the working people gets given to the richest Americans for endorsements. Yeah, exactly. Fitcham Shook says, thing is, what other dodgy conversations happened on Signal and other apps? All of them. It's good that this has come out because maybe they'll stop using Signal and stop putting American service people in danger. But I mean, at the same time, like, wow. Wow. There you go. Did you see he was meeting with Chelsea Manning at the weekend? Corbyn, it's like he knew. Anyway, we're going to go over to the papers now. We've got, would you pay £6 for a croissant? I do. Okay. Trump team texts bombing plans to journalist by mistake. There's a lion, which is weird. I mean, maybe they ran out of pictures of the royals, so they put a lion on the front there. Rory the lion is recovering in the new rescue centre at Big Cat Sanctuary in Kent after suffering shell shock caused by explosions when he's abandoned by a private collector in Ukraine following Russia's invasion. Bloody hell. Bank adds to growing pains for Chancellor, warning over ageing population and tariffs, but AI could transform Britain, says Governor. No, it's not going to transform Britain. It's just a tool. It's just a tool that, helps us be more efficient. It's an efficiency tool. Okay, let's go through this, right? We used to do things with a pen. Everything was done with a pen on parchment. Wasn't very efficient. And then we developed typewriters. Yeah, and all those scribes went out of business. Well, no, they didn't. They just moved to typewriters and became more efficient. Instead of writing out one book a year, they were able to write out one book a month. Brilliant, great. Or even printing, I guess, if you want to go even back like before then. But the idea of people individually in their job being more efficient if they're not a book publisher, they didn't have to write things down, but they could type it out on a typewriter. And then the phone came along and they could make phone calls instead of having to send a message by someone on a fucking horse. And then, stay with me on this, right? We had the radio came along, and then we had television. And then, this is going to sound absolutely mind-blowing, we got the internet. The internet. And yes, 80% of the jobs that existed in 1945 no longer exist. So people are still working because the internet made us, the computers. Before we got the internet, we got computers, which made us, in our offices, more efficient because you got more work done. You didn't get paid anymore because, capitalism, but, you were more efficient. Then we got the internet, and hurrah, we've got access to all the information we'll ever need. You don't have to get on the bus and go to the library. Fucking grace. Grace, okay? Yeah. Now we've got AI, which is a friendly little helper that gets everything fucking wrong. Well, not everything, but, it makes things more efficient. It makes it so that we can file reports, we can peruse documents easier. We don't have to literally go search for words. Even using the find function on your computer, you can actually just put it all and digest it into AI and say, give me bullet point to this. And read up the report. Fantastic. Great at spotting patterns. Great at spotting a bunch of things, but it's not going to save our fucking economy. Like what? It's going to make us more productive. Okay. Still loads of people out of work. There's still loads of people who want benefits because they can't work at the moment. There's still people who are elderly who can't work or don't want to work because they've retired. And, we've got to pay for them. We're all paying for the retired generation. We're paying for those pension funds. It's not like you pay into your pension fund and then that's the money you get back. It doesn't really work that way. It's the people who are working today who are paying for the pensions out of their wages because they don't get as much as they should, or they're paying it when they buy something because the companies charge more for stuff than they need to because they would otherwise need to because they've got to pay into the pension funds. And these pension funds are paying, loads of money out to these people who aren't working, who probably could work, who maybe took early retirement at the age of 53. Wouldn't that be nice? We're not going to retire. We're never going to be able to retire. Millennials, never going to be able to retire. Most of us, the vast majority of us are just going to work till we die. But we're paying for the people who did want to retire and did retire on a final salary pension, something that doesn't exist anymore. Pretty much, unless you're a CEO, I guess. Alistair, thank you very much for the super chat. £10, thank you. Some funds for the rants. Demonetized video. I live heard the Brexit debate lasted 3 hours. Keep up the good work, Graham. Yes, it did last 3 hours, and I literally had to get in the car with my stepdaughter and drop her off, come back, drop her off in another village, and come back while it was streaming and just leave my computer going. And I was like, I'll be back in a minute. And everyone was like, has he gone to the toilet? I'm like, no. So that was fun. I honestly thought it was going to last like half an hour because I thought it was going to actually be in the main chamber. I thought that, and when you see these debates in the main chamber and there's like 3 people sitting there, I thought it was going to be like that, but it wasn't. It was at the start of it, at least the room in Westminster Hall was actually was full. It was full. Westminster Hall. Christopher Bowles. When I use my app, I always remember the gunpowder plot was foiled by intercepting a letter. Privacy in communications has always largely been an illusion. Yep, absolutely. AI is like 3D in cinema, a novelty at best, but expensive and actually pretty rubbish. It's not a magic wonder. It's all hype and no substance. I disagree to an extent. I don't think that it's 3D in cinema because that was, unsustainable. I don't think that we're going to be having, I might be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again, I'm sure, at some point. But I feel like it's somewhere in between. Okay, I don't think it's completely useless, but I don't think it's the game changer that these AI companies are making it out to be. Because you're always going to have human oversight. Because what AI will always lack is context. Because it can't decide when given 2 bits of information like what's more important. You can. You do it without even thinking about it. But AI, it struggles with it. It struggles with contextualizing text, contextualizing pictures. That's why people get, 6 fingers on each hand. Can I do this? It's like hands like this, isn't it? Hello, and you're like, why have they got 2 thumbs? It really, really struggles with understanding the world around it. And in the same way that modern architects struggle, in the same way, I think AI is probably going to render all modern architects redundant, which I don't know if that's a bad thing, really, considering the shite that they build all over the world, all that concrete shite. Not going to go down that rabbit hole, but yeah, the same building again and again and again and again. Stamping on the human face forever. That's what I think about modern architecture. Anyway, we're not going to get into that debate today. We're going to go back to the papers. This is a victory for Martin. Woo! Martin's law to make entertainment venues safer from terror attacks should be clear its final Commons hurdle today, which is brilliant. That's good news, I guess. And then we've got James Magic lifts England. We were playing a game against, I don't know, Latvia, I think. Apologies if it wasn't Latvia. Apologies to the people in Latvia who I may have sort of, impugned there. Future of state pension triple lock questioned by Labour MPs, screams the iPaper. Oh God, we're going after pensions now. Ruling parties MPs are starting to question whether they must abandon the sacred cow of British politics as state pension costs rise further and public services face new rounds of cuts. Well, if you want to be purely selfish, like a lot of the, that generation can be, well, why should we pay for them? Why should we pay for their pension? Why should we pay? They should have saved up. Should have thought of that before you had kids. Just saying. Number 10 has pledged to protect pension from inflation until 2029, but a growing number of MPs believe that Starmer and Reeves must end triple lock for wealthier pensioners. I have to say, right, don't at me. I fucking agree. 1 in 5 pensioners are millionaires. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? I want universal basic income, but at the moment, the way that our society is structured, universal basic income is unsustainable at the moment. And giving money to people who aren't working in this way, I mean, the same people who want to stop people who are disabled, people suffering from mental health problems from getting any money, are the same people who are demanding money, free money for themselves. Because they work for 30 years and then they want to be paid by the state for the next 30. Is it sustainable? Even though they're millionaires, I agree that people shouldn't live in poverty. I don't want pensioners living in poverty. I don't want them feeling like they, have to turn the heating off in the winter. But yeah, just saying. This is an awful, awful story here on the front cover of The Guardian. Domestic abusers driving more victims to suicide. Domestic abusers are driving victims to suicide. Police have warned as they admit past mistakes and pledge to investigate more hidden cases of violence against women. This is quite personal for me. I know someone who took their own life last year as a result of being harassed and stalked by an ex-boyfriend. And I don't think the government are doing enough about it. I don't think the police are doing enough about it. I don't think we are doing enough about it. Driving someone to suicide is not actually against the law. I'll say that again. Driving someone to suicide is not actually against the law. I spoke to a judge about this after it happened, and she was telling me that, because the law is a lot to do with the state of mind of people when they do something. When they commit an act, you have to look into what the state of mind was. You can't know the state of mind of someone who's taken their own life. And so you can't say, this was definitely as a result of this. But just because you can't say that it was definitely as a result, doesn't mean that you can't prosecute and say, you should be able to prosecute and say, this led to this result. The preponderance of evidence is so. So yeah, anyway, it's a disgusting fact that the police just don't take domestic violence seriously, don't take stalking seriously, they don't take violence against women seriously. And there's a lot of bad actors who don't take it seriously either and go on endlessly about trans women or trans women in sports. Someone made a very good point this morning on a video I saw on TikTok where they said, when someone says that they're against trans women in sports because they care so much about women's sports. How about you get them, right? Next time someone says this, say, name 10 female athletes. Go on, off you pop. Venus Williams, Serena Williams, Paula Radcliffe, Sharon Davis. Good luck. Anyway, I'll go back to the papers now. There's another shit story on the front cover of The Guardian, and this is the shit actor. talking to bad actors. Gerald Depardieu, who is in court on sexual assault charges. Quite rightly, he's in court. I hope that he goes down. He's in for he's in the dock for assaulting 2 women in 2021 on the set of a film. But stories about this man's sexual assaults on women are a legion. Like there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. He's a horrible man, and I hope he goes down. Reeves in $2 billion pledge on social housing. Rachel Reeves replied $2 billion in affordable housing, an attempt to sweeten the pill of the spending cuts announced by this week's spring statement. Don't know if it'll work, but okay. Okie dokes. Right, we'll move on. We've got the Daily Mail here. Why Gwynny? Who the fuck is Gwynny? Gwynny? Why Gwynny launched an all-out breakfast war on neighbour Meghan? Fucking hell. Labour to block bid to ban solar panels made by slaves so Miliband can put them on schools and hospitals. Labour will be turning a blind eye to slavery if it blocks a bid to ban ministers from buying solar panels feared to be made with forced labour. Okay, right. Can we just have a moment? Can we just have a moment? Right. We buy oil from the most horrific regimes in the world. Companies, British companies, Anglo-Dutch companies, are given money by you, by me, by the taxpayer, from our income tax, from the VAT we pay on everything we fucking buy. They're given that money in subsidies in countries where there are slaves. In countries where they murder people for being gay. In countries where if a woman is sexually assaulted, it's usually the woman that's put to death and not the man who sexually assaulted her. And we buy oil. So much oil. And then the hypocrisy of the Daily Mail to be like, oh yeah, these solar panels, are they ethical? Are they ethical? They did the same thing to Meghan Markle. Do you remember a few years ago when they had a go at her for eating avocados because they came from a country that they said, oh, they have child labour? You know, there was exactly the same story. Exactly the same story about Catherine Middleton. And there was none of this. It was like, oh, she's having an avocado sandwich. Isn't that nice? Go, Catherine. Mate, the amount of money that is spent on spreading shit like this is just it'll make your eyes bleed. And now Reeves in hot water over free £276 theatre tickets. See pages 6 to 7. So it's 2 pages that the Mail is giving away a freebie to Rachel Reeves. Can you believe, mate? What the fuck? What's wrong with you? Mail? Hello? What the? Seriously? Like 2 pages on theatre tickets worth 200 quid, right? Meanwhile, Boris Johnson, £800,000 loan from someone. Holidays in Muscovite, somewhere. Well, he is a Muscovite, isn't he? Paid for by Zach Goldsmith or someone, we don't know. Nothing. Not a dicky bird. Nothing to see here. Do you remember what the Daily Mail said at the end of Partygate? Is that it? That's what they said. That's what these fuckers said. Is that it? People think this is a newspaper. They think it's a fucking newspaper. It's not a newspaper. It's not a newspaper. It's a fucking joke. Talking of jokes, here's the Daily Telegraph. And just like that, so Jessica Parker at 60 at the top. And then we have an advert. That's nice. Hal Nelson turned nice after losing his arm. Okay, up-to-date information here. We've got Charlie Mullins, the Pimlico Plumbers guy who used to be against Brexit, but then decided to become more Brexity. Threat to take reformed donors OBE ignites free speech row. Mullins has to sit diversity training to keep his honour after Starmer's revenge attack. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm very much for diversity training. You got to understand, Now, unless someone points stuff out to you, you don't know. Okay, so here's a good example, right? If someone is deaf and they are reading your lips, you need to look at them when you're talking. And at first, this can be a bit discombobulating because you're not used to always looking at someone when you're talking to them. And maybe you're on the spectrum and you don't like making eye contact. That's fair enough. But you still have to have your face, pointing towards the person who you are addressing. If you turn around as you're speaking, they have no idea what you're saying. You won't know that unless you know someone who's deaf or you've done some sort of diversity training. It's not something that I don't feel like it's something that just comes naturally to us to think I can only talk to this person when they're looking at me. I do it now for everyone. This is the weird thing because I'm so used to doing it with Catherine, because whenever I talk to her in the kitchen or when we go out or walking down the street, I know that when I'm driving, I know she has to be looking at my lips. And when she's not looking at my lips, I stop talking because there's no point, right? And I do this to other people now. Like, I'll be walking along the street, I'll be talking to someone and they'll be doing something and they'll turn around, I'll stop talking. I'm so trained to do this now. But that's just one example of where diversity training really, really helps. It's just a little thing. Oh yeah, okay, so that person's deaf. I need to look at them while I talk. Otherwise, they don't stand a chance of deciphering what the fuck I'm blathering on about. But just a little thing like that. Just one example. But no, it's woke, which means decent. It's decent. We don't want decency. Florida's where decency goes to die. It's not just we just don't want any decency here. I'm very anti-decency. Anyway, so there he is with a fucking pillow. Twat. We've got Reeves tries to buy off benefit rebels with £2 billion for housing. Europe are pathetic freeloaders, says leaked White House text. Wow. That is how the Telegraph, the Tory graph, the fucking rag is choosing to report the biggest data breach in American history. Europe are pathetic freeloaders. That's what they took from it. From one comment from JD Vance saying that he hates helping Europe out. It's real, The 1984, we're living it. We are living it. We're in a data war. We're on an information war. And unfortunately, the people with all the fucking money are the people peddling disinformation and running the whole, narcissist prayer. If I didn't do it, well, if I did, you deserved it. Oh, it's not that bad. Oh, it's your fault, really, if you think about it. They do it. I think that all these hack tabloid journalists, they'll recite the narcissist prayer before they go to work each day when they went to their posh private schools. I'm pretty sure that all of them had to, they do the Pledge of Allegiance in American public schools. I mean, when they say public schools, they mean like state schools. They do the Pledge of Allegiance. I think that in private schools in this country, they do the narcissist prayer. I think all the kids do the narcissist prayer. It's the only explanation of why just so many people who go through the private school see you next Tuesday farm system, I turn out to be wrong uns. So many of them. So many. Not all, of course. Nothing's absolute, but so many. Visit privateschoolmafia.com for more information. Over 1,200 names now. We have the super chat come in from Ivan. Thank you, Ivan. Not impressed with the debate yesterday. Oh, mate. Well, sorry. I thought you were talking about me and Mikey. There were flaws on both sides with a certain amount of a lack of respect. Also, 3 hours was too long for people with processing difficulties. Yeah, Ivan. I mean, look, I don't know about it being too long because I would much rather it was 3 hours. And I was complaining about it, but I would much rather they had the chance to just air all this stuff. It goes down in Hansard. It's been said now. I would rather that they were talking about this than not talking about it. They've been ignoring it for so long. About the 3 hour thing, look, I was worried that it would only be 15 minutes or something, and it would just be forgotten about and no one would talk about it much. But so I was kind of glad that it went on for that long because I think it's so important. But yeah, I think that there could be more done to help people get a reasonable breakdown of what the debate was and who said what, bullet points. And we can get AI to help with that. I'm not saying AI is going to be some kind of revolution, but I'm saying it could certainly help. Anyway, I just want to get Charlie Muggins off my screen because I kind of don't like him. Oh God, he's kind of hideous. Sorry, I'm going to try and get rid of him, and then I'll bring him back. We've got the Daily Express here. After Russia's latest brutal raid, our correspondent in Kyiv tells the US president, "Mr. Trump, wake up." What, you want him to be woke? Is that what you want? You want him to wake up, do you? Daily Express, Daily Express that was owned by Richard Desmond, the guy who owned Burley Legal. He had a porn mag with 18-year-old girls in naked called Burley Legal. Yeah, and now he's a massive Tory donor. Let's ask him what he thinks of women's rights. Let's get the TERFs on side, eh? We've got Mr. Trump, wake up, Ukrainians are the victims. It started out like most days in Ukrainian capital, air raid sirens around 11 p.m., followed by a few distant explosions. Cruise flight, Kyiv blaze after drone killed Alexander and little Nicole Havansky, and injured mum Shasa left. So little kid here murdered brutally by the regime in Moscow that Trump and Farage just fucking love. Just let that sit there for a little while. Trump and Farage love the guy who did this. It's like declaring your love for the fucking Moors murderers and the dickheads cheer you on. There's a story in the Star about Titchmarsh. Okay. Putin's brutal peace offering. As talk starts, Russia bombs a hospital. It's on the front cover of the Metro here. Russia has bombed homes and hospital in Ukraine, injuring 74 people and including 14 children on the same day that it sat down for talks about a peace deal. Absolute fucking scum. And then we'll head over to the Financial Times. Seeing red, protests back Erdogan's rival. This is huge protest going on in Turkey at the moment. Also, Trump threatens countries that buy Venezuelan oil with 25% import tariff. I thought we were all getting tariffs anyway. Make up your mind who's getting tariffs. Make up your fucking mind. Murderers influx cited, crude market braced. US itself is big buyer. China and India vulnerable. But is Russia going to be vulnerable? I mean, Russia has propped up the Venezuelan state now for many years, since the days of Hugo Chavez. They've propped up the state of Venezuela. Is there going to be any sanctions, any tariffs against Russia? I don't think so. BYD beats rival Tesla to $100 billion sales milestone as upgrades pay their way. BYD's annual sales have topped $100 billion as China's electric vehicle champion dominates its domestic market and presses ahead with an overseas expansion. Good. You know what? China does some really fucking shit things. Don't get me wrong. The treatment of the Uyghur population up in the northwest of the country, in the Xinjiang area, is just, I mean, it's abominable. It is absolutely abominable. China is not, it's an autocratic country. It's run as pretty much a dictatorship by a guy who looks like Winnie the Pooh, and the free speech is allowed to a certain extent, but not in the level that we have come to cherish in the West, well, some of us anyway, and any kind of big statements against the authoritarian regime in China is met with brutal repression. And but having said that, China is absolutely leading the world at the moment in green energy, in electric cars. They're leading the world in solar panel manufacture, which is what the Mail was whinging about today. And it's all well and good for them to say, oh, we shouldn't be buying solar panels from countries that do terrible things. But we buy stuff from all these countries. We buy stuff from America. America does terrible things. We buy stuff from Belgium. You want to go back in history? The stuff Belgium did in the Belgian Congo. Yeah, you can join me for Hughes of the World this week on Thursday night to talk about it, but it's going to be quite a horrific one. I don't think we're going to have too many viewers for that particular episode on the Democratic Republic of Congo. And it's difficult. It is really difficult. There's a really good show on TV called The Good Place. I don't know if you've seen it, but they make a really good point in The Good Place at a certain point. So the idea is that these people have died, and when you die, you go to the good place or the bad place. And without wanting to be too spoilery, let's just say it's very, very, very difficult, nigh impossible to get into the good place. Why? Well, because anything you do has knock-on effects. So there's a guy who absolutely lives his life by the teachings of whoever. You know, he's the most perfect example of someone who's completely selfless, who just cares for the community, helps everyone out. But one time in his life, he bought some flowers for someone, and those flowers helped fuel a regime in Africa that was murdering its people, and therefore he contributed to that. So, well, he has to go to the bad place, and it's like that. It is like that. But one of the whingers that you hear from the fossil fuel shills that exist in this country, and there are many of them, is that, well, why should we lead the world? Even if we go net zero tomorrow, it's only going to be 0.5% of the world's emissions. Why aren't China doing something? It's like, China are doing something. China are doing something. In the last 15 years, they've put tens of thousands of miles of high-speed electric rail in. They are investing heavily in wind farms, in solar panels, in renewable energy, and they're investing heavily in electric cars, which I know are not a panacea. They're not a cure-all. They're by any stretch of the imagination, but they're so much better than using a petrol car. And if you hear someone, or you're tempted to think, oh, they're just as bad as petrol cars, that is propaganda from the filthy fossil fuel companies, as much propaganda as hydrogen. If you hear the word hydrogen, I want you to think Hindenburg disaster. Okay, because that's what it would be, a Hindenburg disaster. I might do a whole video on how hydrogen is just bullshit, because I feel like we really need to get that message out, because I'm so sick and tired of seeing memes appear on social media of people going, oh, hydrogen, hydrogen, hydrogen. There is no way on God's green earth that hydrogen is ever going to be an applicable power source for our vehicles driving around ever. Okay? Ever. And that doesn't just go for cars, it goes for trucks, it goes for lorries, it goes for buses. It is not a way to power stuff. And I could spend an hour explaining why, if you'd like me to. But yeah, if you see the word hydrogen, first thing to think is bollocks. Second thing to think is Heidenberg. Super chats come in. Thank you very much for Ivan. Woo! It's horrendous in Turkey at the moment. What are your thoughts on the situation, Graham? Well, Erdogan is a tyrant, as we know. Unfortunately for us, in a way, Turkey is a member of NATO, so we can't actually do much about it. And we can't really support the opposition in the way that they deserve to be supported. The leader of the opposition has been imprisoned. That's brought people out onto the streets. And Erdogan is the Donald Trump of Turkey, or Turkey. He is a strongman leader who's been in charge now for a very, very long time. He has survived coups against him. He has suppressed any kind of dissent. He stands very much for the religious right in Turkey, just like Trump stands on the religious right of America. You know when you got to sneeze and you can just feel it and you're like, yeah, great. He stands on the religious right, and sort of the things that he brought in. So, for instance, back in the 1920s, when Ataturk was in charge of Turkey, he secularized the country a lot. The guy was, I don't know if he was an out-and-out atheist, but he was quite ambivalent, or maybe even antagonistic towards religion. And as a result of that, he changed the script they used from Arabic writing to Latin characters. He made rules about the separation of church and state. he made it so that you couldn't wear headscarves if you were a religiously observant woman. You couldn't wear headscarves in university or government buildings. And Erdogan has reversed some of that, so now you can wear head coverings in these buildings. And the religious, the older the older generation who are quite religious on the political right, they fucking love it. They loved it. They want him to stay in power forever. But it's a democracy, and things change. And if you're gonna run a country and tell people it's a democracy, you can't go around jailing the opposition, which is something that I think Trump will do. If AOC is not in jail by the end of this year, I'll be very, very glad. I'll be very, very glad. Let's put it that way. And a part of me would be a bit surprised. Bernie Sanders as well. I can see Trump putting them in jail on some trumped up charge. Definitely could see that. Okay. Liz Allen says Toyota is selling their first EVs at a loss, but because it's a partnership with a Chinese company, it will double to 15k in the US if we can buy it all. Happy Enough says they will never know peace. Don't let their perpetual state of poverty ruin ours. They are billionaires, but they do not know peace. That is a poor man. That a poor man finds when he realizes he's rich. Yeah, just want to have a nice time. Just have a nice time. See your mates, touch some grass. Go for a walk. Graham, did you get the link to I Ask AI YouTube channel ChatGPT analysis of Trump's monthly governance performance? March rating 1 out of 10 with clear explanation of all mistakes and effects. I fully recommend. Well, yeah, you go. I mean, AI is great at writing reports, which is a big waste of time for the rest of us. Like, honestly, I really feel this. Like, I do feel like writing, like police officers have to spend time writing up reports. Fuck it. Get ChatGPT to do it. Just put in the notes. Just put in your notes into ChatGPT and say, write up the report. And it's done. And then they can go and solve another criminal fucking case. I'm just going to have a look for something before I go because I want to share something with you. So after the success of the last rejoin EU petition, we now have a new rejoin EU petition for you to sign if you wanna. Oh, do you know what? It's in a group, right? And it was the last message in the group before I came online, and now there's 75 unread messages in the group. Oh, for God's sake! So give me a second while I scroll like a motherfucker to try and find where this was shared. Oh, Alex from Political X shared it with us this morning. Oh, I'm really sorry. I can't find it. Oh, here we go. Got it. Phew, it was in a different group. My group chats are not secure. Showing them on the internet. Right, so here we go. Here is the link. It'll be coming up in the chat in a moment, and then I'll let you go. Run free, my friends. Run free. There we go. Oh, it's commission a public inquiry into the impact of the UK exiting the European Union. Something that I talked to Stella Creasy and Emily Thornberry and Alison McGovern about at the Labour conference last year. Something that was suggested by Phil Morehouse. He said, if you can ask them to do something, get them to commission a public inquiry into the impact of Brexit impacts, because that makes it very difficult to continue to argue for Brexit. And it gives us weaponry, big guns, BFGs, for fighting against Brexit, because we can just point to the report and say, look how much it's cost. Look how much it has cost. It's cost us the impact on us as a country and on businesses and on government and on everything, everyday lives. The price of beer has doubled, and the Brexiteers are like, yay, I love paying twice as much for beer. 5 years since retiring, and I think running for president might be fun, says Happy Enough. Oh, I'm mad, Gels. You retired. And Philip says, I would have retired at 60 with a public service pension, but lost the job with 10 years to go. And X also got 40%, so I work at 66. I refuse to feel guilty for retiring. Well, yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of people in a similar situation to you. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to make people feel guilty. I'm saying that if you are a millionaire, the fact that you've got a triple lock state pension, to me, is unfair, especially when 1 in 5 pensioners are living in poverty. I think they should get the money. Absolutely. I mean, maybe I put the point a bit clumsily, but what I wanted to say is I don't see why people in my generation should be paying for subsidies to people who are so rich they can buy a new car every 6 months or go on a cruise every 2 months. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't think that money should be spent on them. I don't think they should get it. I don't think they should get the winter fuel allowance either. I think the people who need it should get it, but I don't think the millionaires should. So, you stop those 20% of millionaires from getting those free things, then, okay, cool. Ivan, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Woo! Graham, are you doing coverage on the spring statement tomorrow? Yes. So we'll be doing PMQs at 12 o'clock, and that'll go straight into the spring statement at about 1:45. We'll go straight from one to the other. I'll have to change the picture in the corner. But apart from that, we'll be starting that at 12 o'clock tomorrow. But today this evening, we're going to be doing Geoscope with Ollie Bowler Hatman, and it's going to be quite interesting. We've got a lot to talk about, a lot to get through, as always. And then at the end of that, we'll be shunting you over to Maximilian's feed, so you can go and have a chat with Max. So it's all good. It's all good. If you could sign that petition, Sarah Davis has signed. Thank you, Sarah. Good job. And if we can get 100,000 people to sign that, they will have to debate it in Parliament. Graham would apply the same thoughts to UBI as well, though. That would defeat the point of UBI. No, not at all. I mean, UBI is something completely separate to this. We need to have a functioning economy in order to have UBI. We don't have a functioning economy at the moment. We need to get it back on track, and we don't because of 14 years of Tory chaos, austerity, Brexit, COVID, trust. The ABCTs of the government's incompetence. Yeah. It's worse for my sister because she's 2 years younger, so she has to work till she's 67, and she has chronic pain due to a crumbling spine. Oh, God, that sounds awful, Anne. Well, I mean, my mum might be watching this. If you are, hi, Mum. But no, she won't be watching this because she'll be in work. My mum's still working and she's 75. Hi, Mum. And she's looking after my dad, who's got dementia and is bedbound. It's not great. Not great, the situation we're left with, but those millionaires need to buy a new car every 6 months, because what else are you going to do when you retire? I don't work for 30 years. Anyway, right, I'm going to get going. I'll see you tonight at 7:30. If not, I'll see you tomorrow for another morning brew at 9 o'clock. Before you go, give us a like. It doesn't cost anything, but it's sexy. And until next time, I'll say thank you very much for the chats. Thank you very much for the super chats. And until next time, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.